what to include, just to sum up, what to include in a portfolio is work you are proud of, first and foremost. So this can be work, I mean, to be honest, a combination of work that you've done, that you've been given, maybe at school or college or, you know, previous educational institution is good to show, really good to show. But it's also good to put some very personal things in. If you're somebody that, you know, just takes a sketchbook everywhere and draws all the time. You know, I had a sketchbook full of trips to orthodontists and, you know, strange people that they'd seen on the train or the platform, you know, holidays. You know, if you're just somebody that draws in the bar at the end of the day, or in a restaurant, or when you're having a cup of coffee, you know, I'd love to see those sketchbooks that aren't necessarily part of your schoolwork, but they're something that you do, something that you do all the time. Show recent work. Yeah, so don't show something that you did 5 years ago. It might not represent where you are now. Obviously, if you did an amazing piece of work 2 years ago and you're just like, I'm still proud of this, it still shows my skills. Yeah, for sure, put that in, but also show some much more recent work. Show work that demonstrates your skills and your interests, as I mentioned before, and a balance of initial sketches, worksheets, experiments, as well as more resolved final work. Yeah, a little bit what I was talking about, your creative process. Make sure you do that for at least one project. If you can show the entire journey from the beginning to the end, that's what we really like to see. The seeds of an idea to the research, exploration, development, as well as final outcomes. I notice people put some final outcomes because that's how they work. They just draw from a photo, there it is, done. No thinking, no process, no, you know, all the creative process goes into creating one final image. But quite often a more involved project will involve something that does cover the research, some exploration, some development. So please, if you can, for at least one project, show that journey. And another important thing is to add some short captions on each page to help us understand your creative thinking, your process. And by this, I mean, so what will happen normally, we'll be sent, depending on the course, but for illustration at the moment, you send us your portfolios. We invite you to interview and we invite you to send your portfolios, but it's really handy for us to have a look at the portfolios to see, get an idea of who you are. So we can ask questions, we can focus our interview on specific things. So short captions, you know, if you just show images alone, that's fine. We can get a good idea. We'll have lots of questions to ask. But if you show some images and, you know, maybe some initial sketches, you know, you might just caption that and say what they're for, or what you were thinking, or what you were trying to capture in these sketches, or what you think you've captured. You know, experiments, you know, I tried this media, or I tried this particular printmaking media. I tried these different colors. This is what I think I'm communicating, or this was my intention to try and communicate this with orange, but I tried it with purple and I tried it with a combination of colors, and I found that this communicated this idea differently or better, or I discovered through this experiment that this idea communicated in a slightly different way from my intention. So it's just a little, not an essay. I don't want lots of words, but just something to guide us through the imagery. Yeah. Okay. Next page, please. So when you're putting together your portfolio, a few things to think about, a few things that people don't always do. And I thought this was handy, this was useful to talk through. So think about how you order the work in your portfolio. Yeah, try and tell a story about yourself. You know, maybe you can collect things thematically. Obviously, if you're showing a journey through a project, it's good to start at the beginning and then move through in a sort of, step-by-step process, so we can see what happened next. But it might be that you show a bunch of drawing first, and maybe you show a bunch of embroideries that you've made from the drawings, and maybe you went into the print room, and it's, so maybe it's one big project that you've explored lots of different ways, or maybe it's lots of little different projects. But think how they work together side by side. Think about what they help us understand about your skill set, your interests. Yeah, so give it some time and thought. Keep the visual presentation simple and easy to navigate. Don't put every image that you've done or researched on one page, or every image that you made in the print room. It's just a cacophony. It's too much chaos. But also keep the backgrounds quite calm. Keep it simple, so that your images are the things that shine through on the page. Don't have too many red borders and flowers in the background or unnecessary things. Sometimes it can help to give an atmosphere to work, but sometimes it can detract from the work itself. So something to think about. Yeah, generally I would keep the backgrounds fairly neutral, unless you have a particular reason for not doing that. Important thing, a lot of the work, as I've mentioned, so if you're sending your portfolio digitally, make sure all your digital links are working. Make sure they're hyperlinked and up to date. What I would suggest is check, and then check again, and then check a third time before you send them. Ask your granny to check as well. Send it to somebody else, make sure it works. I would also advise, just in case the links don't work, is to put the URL as well. They look ugly. It's not a design feature, but if you just put my wonderful work, and just call it that, and the hyperlink for some reason doesn't work, we don't get to see that. If you have the URL, at least we can put that in a search engine and find the work that way. Yeah, I can't tell you how many dead links I've had sent to me. It's a shame. Sometimes we're missing quite a lot of good stuff from you. And we don't have masses of time in our lives either. We see a lot of people come through with their portfolios. If we can just click on it, we go, yay, excellent, work in front of me. It's efficient. It doesn't cause us any extra stress or anxiety. And we're not going to spend hours searching around for a link to work it. Okay, keep show reels or moving image pieces short. As I mentioned, we don't have 100 hours for every portfolio. You need to catch us, you need to engage us quickly, and you need to engage us with the work immediately. Yeah, so if you have got a 4-hour film that you've made, for sure, put that in, but also make sure that you've edited highlights. You give us the key moments, or some examples of different sorts of scene, or maybe one scene where the storytelling is really tight and really clever. Just don't give us hour-long pieces of thing. We'll look at the first 3 minutes. That's all we'll do. And if the first 3 minutes of your film is not great, make sure you give the first 3 minutes of a great piece of work for us to look at first. Okay, next one, please. So my last thoughts. We are looking for potential and passion. We're not necessarily looking for perfection and polish. Yeah. So if you have to if you have to sort of sacrifice something that's finished perfectly, I would rather leave that out of a portfolio, or balance it with lots of things that demonstrate your interest, demonstrate your desire to learn more, demonstrate your skill set. They may not be beautifully finished or even beautifully presented. I've seen lots of very inky, blobby printmaking, but it's expressive of an idea. Leave it in. If there's a few extra ink blobs around the edges, don't worry about that. Yeah, we know you've got 3 more years with us to tidy up your inky mess. Yeah, so scrappy drawings with energy are better than sort of beautifully tidied, sorted out, resolved images that are very finished. What I would do, I'm not sure if this is relevant here, but definitely check your course pages. Do read all the information that each course sends you. I can only be specific for illustration. I can't be specific for all courses in the land or even in our university. So do check all the course pages. The requirements are quite clearly listed down there. I put a link in case it's helpful for all our arts courses.